Hi, welcome back into Weather Nation as we're taking a look at some images of the sun. That's from the GO-16 satellite. Of course, you might have heard, whether it's on social media and all the media outlets, it's the Aurora Borealis. We've got the northern lights happening for tonight, and it's going to be a special one. So we want to talk to an expert. I'm joined here by Dr. Skov, a space weather expert. And I am very curious because for me, I focus on everything that happens in the atmosphere here on the planet Earth. But it's interesting when we're talking about something that happens like this, the northern lights. Can you kind of explain what is the science behind it? What is the process? How are we able to see those beautiful colors?
Well, it all starts, of course, with the sun. And in this case, we had actually 8 different eruptions from the sun in rapid fire succession. And the first of those is hitting now. And this particular series is quite unusual because they're actually very strong storms. So if you think of like a tornado warning, you have a tornado watch, you have scales that go from 1 to 5. Well, we have something called a G scale, and that scale goes from 1 to 5. And typically we see solar storms that are on the scale of 1, but this one is a 5. And the last time we had one this intense was back in 2003 and then also in 2005. So it's been quite some time since we've had one that's this intense. And so it's causing an aurora to be very, very bright, and it's causing aurora to come all the way down to deep into mid-latitudes, and it's going to be sustained for quite some time. So a lot of people are going to get a chance to see aurora for the very first time who would never normally get a chance to see it.
And you mentioned the scale. We've got that space weather scale where we talk about the G1 all the way to the G5. Can you talk about the significance of a G5? I mean, that's the top of the scale. That's the highest it goes. Can you kind of talk about how significant it is to reach that level?
Well, it ends up being extremely significant because historically, G5 level storms have actually given us a little bit of a kind of a headache when it comes to dealing with power grids. And we are a little bit concerned about that right now because since it's been so long since we've had a G5 level solar storm and our power grids have matured and changed so much, we don't really know how the infrastructure is going to handle it. So NOAA and the Space Weather Prediction Center has definitely been working very closely with all of the stakeholders in the infrastructure, and they're making sure that they keep everything up to date and they know when to take different systems offline if necessary. But most likely, we're not going to notice anything, but except for the aurora late at night when you look up at the sky and it's dark and you see a lot of beautiful colors.
And let's talk about that. You had asked me before we came on air if I was going to try and get out today or tonight and take a look at it. Can you just talk about how cool it is to see in person these colors? I know that there's some locations in the world where it's a bucket list that you get there, and that's why you go to these locations to take in this beautiful event. Can you kind of talk about how maybe somebody who's kind of on the fence, like, hit or miss, I could see it, I could not see it. Can you talk about more on like why it's so special to see something of this magnitude?
Well, when you have auroras that are this bright, not only do they light up the sky, like some people have actually seen aurora, but it looks kind of white to their eyes. But when aurora is this bright, you actually begin to pull out the colors and you can really see the reds and the greens. And believe it or not, it's all due to oxygen and nitrogen and just the blending of how these two different elements end up giving off light when the Earth is giving that or taking that energy in from the solar storm and kind of exhausting it in our upper atmosphere. It basically turns our upper atmosphere into a big neon sign. And it's the same kind of phenomena. But when it's all overhead and it's dazzling, it almost looks like colorful rain coming down on you. Most people get chills and they say it's an awe-inspiring experience, somewhat like having totality with the recent total solar eclipse. There's one, you can see a partial solar eclipse and it means one thing, but when you go and see totality, it's a totally different experience, and that's exactly the way it is with aurora from these very big storms.
This is so exciting. I know we're here at Weather Nation. We're excited about it. Dr. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Weather Nation to give us all this fascinating information. I was learning a lot just by listening to you talk.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.